Hey guys, 15 mil history. Sorry, I've been a bit absent, just uni stuff. I've been painting my Prussians. So these are my Landwehr. They're quite good. I've had quite a lot of success with them. They're unreliable, but once you get them into position, they're quite nasty. Um, they have their morale 4, which is not amazing, but it's very average, and they're not bad for kind of militia troops. I think they're they're unreliable, so that basically translates to um, you. So if I have the Prussians can take command 9 troops. So what that means is that if I had a commander with a staff rating of 9, I have to roll under that to make moves, and so if I roll over that, that's a failed order. Unreliable, like Landwehr have, what that translates to is, say, I had a unit of, so if I had a unit of Landwehr and I rolled, and I had staff rating 9, if you, in Black Powder, you can equal it, and that's, for most troops, that's fine, but for Landwehr, that's a no-go. You have to roll one below, so a 9, staff rating 9 needs an 8, staff rating 8 needs a 7. So they're not great, but you can get quite a lot of them. I think they're like 32 points. They're quite cheap. They're quite good, actually. I had a bit of success with them. I killed off some young guard with them. My opponent didn't put them in a great position, and they charged them on the flank, and they got to re-roll hits. And in Black Powder, if you charge, I think you get +1 on the charge, which is quite nasty. So they did quite well. So these are the other units I'm working on too, or we'll save them for a later day. So these are my Fusiliers. Fusiliers are basically really good. They're kind of like in terms of, like, from what I've read about them, they're like progressive troops. So they've got officers that are, like, given a greater deal of autonomy. They're soldiers that they're kind of taught to think outside the box, I think. They're skirmishers, but they kind of fight like line. They're not as good. They don't have the range of these guys. These are Jaegers. Jaegers have rifles. These guys have muskets. And so their range, I think their range, I can't remember the exact ranges because we adjusted the ranges. But rifles have a little bit more. But they're sharpshooters though, so they can get +1. They can re-roll hits when they shoot. They've also got the added bonus of you can upgrade them to be elite. So what that means is that if you fail, if you get disordered, which can happen if your opponent rolls a 6, what happens is these guys can, when it's your turn, how disordered carries over. So if they get disordered in your opponent's turn, they disordered in your turn. But if you have elite, you can roll a dice, and if you get their elite rating, you can basically lose the disordered. So for these guys, I think they're elite 5+. So essentially, to get rid of the disordered, I need a 5 or a 6. So they're quite good. And then over here, I've got some cannons. I've got the generals I'm working on. They're okay. But I've got my cavalry. Pretty happy with how these guys are going. So I've got dragoons, hussars, dragoons, dragoons, and uhlans. Dragoons are really good. The Prussians can upgrade them to have more hand-to-hand combat. So I think most dragoons have an 8 in close combat, and if you give them the upgrade, they go to a 9. Hussars, I think, are both a 6. Hussars are marauders, so that basically translates to, like, in Black Powder, if my commander's here, he's in range of these guys. So when he gives an order, it goes directly to these dudes. So it basically, if he's further away, the harder it is for them to receive orders. But with hussars and ulans and Lanvier Cav, they don't worry about how far the commander is. Dragoons need to be near their commander, which is a bit of a problem. So if the further you are away, they get penalties. So, for example, if these guys have cavalry, Prussian cavalry commanders are command 8. And if if you make it like it, so it becomes even harder. So it becomes like a higher threshold to pass. So you need to have him babysitting the dragoons, basically. Lanvier cavalry are really good. So anyway, I'll start from the beginning, I suppose. Dragoons are they're heavy cavalry. They basically work on damage bonuses. That's what their whole shtick is. They get damage. They're very good at dealing damage in the charge. Hussars are very good at they're very good at going wide. They're marauders. They get 6 attacks, which isn't amazing, but if you send them into the right thing that is sort of out in the open, they can be very nasty. We've already gone through dragoons, and then you've got ulans, and then Lanvier Cav. Ulans and Lanvier Cav are kind of the same. Lanvier cavalry are very good at hitting other cav, and Lanvier cavalry, again, they're good at hitting cavalry too. Lanvier cavalry and Ulans are both marauders, so they have greater autonomy in terms of the tabletop. Lanvier cavalry are very good at being a speed bump unit. These are guys that cuirassiers would have nightmares of fighting Lanvier cavalry, because Lanvier cavalry have got a lance. So what that translates to in the game is a -1 morale. So morale is basically like the infantry save. You need to pass a save, an infantry save or a cavalry save, or whatever you want to call it. Most units are morale 4. So you need to roll a 5 plus to kind of save an Ulan strike. Or a Lanvier strike. They're very, very good. And yeah, I really, really like them. They're very good. They're an exchange unit. That's what they're best at. I'm also going to go through this. So I got one of these. So these are the figures that I've painted so far. There's quite a lot in there. I've got some of the commanders too. Like I have Gneisenau. He looks okay. I mean, I've got to tidy up the base a little bit, but I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. He has an amazing ability. The commander abilities, unfortunately, weren't in the rulebook. They didn't really go into the explanation as to how it all works. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but the game's still really fun. The funny story about this is a makeup case. I got this from a place out in South Auckland, Southeast Auckland, I should say. And I think it was like 45 New Zealand dollars for this. And I think it's a makeup case, and it's really good. So if I was a modeler or whatever, and you wanted a cheap case that would maybe transport Flames or Team Yankee or even Black Powder or Hail Caesar, I reckon this is fertile ground. The thing in here is you can, like this giant cavern right in here, you can easily fit a couple of trays worth of stuff in there. Rulebook, etc. would easily fit in there. But yeah, no, overall, these figures are really nice. I really enjoy painting them. They look okay. I mean, they're not amazing, the job, but if you get enough of them with color and whatever, they look really good. Because that's the thing, is I didn't want to go too hardcore in terms of painting them. I'm not saying I'm the greatest painter in the world, but just because, if you do so much, like if you worry about highlighting and everything with Napoleonics, you'll just never get anything done. I basically have, in terms of the painting, I don't have that much left. I'm almost finished painting these armies, so I'm really happy with how that's going. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's a fun game. It's a really fun game. Black Powder. It's kind of like a role playing game where you can add or take away as much as you need. It's not a super competitive game. It's not, I would say it's a little bit of a beer and pretzels game. It like I think Little Wars TV were talking about it, and what they said is that Black Powder's a great entry point to Napoleonic wargaming or that kind of period, and I would tend to agree. I think that Black Powder is a great game to begin with. It's a good game to find your feet in terms of painting, in terms of models. But I think after a while, I think you would probably want a little bit more depth in something else, or you can get more supplements that have different scenarios in it and stuff. But overall, yeah, no, I really like Black Powder. I think it's fun. We've got a small community of it that's like slowly growing. About 5 people are into it. Got a sixth. Not a huge amount, but we've got a fair few. I would definitely recommend picking this up. The other great thing too is that this is all 15 mils, so this is like roughly around the same size as Flames. There's a lot of availability to 3D print, so the Warlord do not do Russians or Austrians at this stage, which is a real shame because I would not mind doing Russians or Austrians. They would be quite fun. I'm very happy with doing the Prussians though. But it's interesting. You can do quite a bit of 3D printing for them because the thing is that there's a source book called Clash of Eagles. Clash of Eagles is like for the bigger scale game, like the 1/56th scale, I suppose. But the thing is that the guns and movement ranges are all, I would say, agnostic. So all you need to do is like if you've got the 15 mil rules, the 15 mil rules are going to be the same as those other rules. And all you're basically paying for is the scenarios and army lists. And I think that's worth it because I think it gives you, in that book, it gives you Bavaria, Russia, Austria. I think there's a few more in there. I think Saxony is featured. In terms of Waterloo, the nations that are featured are Brunswick, Belgium, Nassau, Dutch Belgians, I think. Or is it Belgians? I can't remember. Prussia, France, and England. And then you've got like King's German Legion and a few others. But yeah, no, overall the game is really fun. It's terrific fun. I would recommend people get into it. I think one of the greatest things about the game is that how it works. So like the game's structured on brigades. So if you bought a brigade of infantry, which I think is like 3 or 4 units of infantry, I think, like that in and of itself is not an army. But if I had a buddy who had 2 units, like 1 unit of cav, and say he had another unit of line, and I was getting interested and I want to play, we were both playing French, he could get a brigade of infantry and a brigade of cavalry, heavy cavalry, and then me, I could basically be like, oh, okay, I'll buy the guard, and I could buy like the old guard units. And if I bought that brigade, the 2 of us could play quite easily. The game is an incredibly fun time if you've got a person playing with you. The game is so much fun with more people. I've never played a game like this where the game gets a lot better the more people you play with. I think it flows a lot better than a 2v2 of Flames. It works really well. It's fun. It's a really good social game. So yeah, I would, if anyone's out there and interested, I would highly recommend playing this. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. You guys stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Cheers. Bye.